A new kind of shadow war is silently erupting right under our noses, one infinitely more savage, more insidious, and more consequential than any trade, skirmish, or tariff tussle the world has ever cooked up. Forget the flashy headlines about chip wars, sky-high duties, or floating behemoths like aircraft carriers slicing through the waves. No, this time the ultimate weapon is black gold itself, crude oil, that gritty, once dismissed relic of the industrial age, now clawing its way back to dead center stage on the brutal global power chessboard. Oil isn't some mere commodity keeping factories buzzing and trucks rolling around the clock. It's the raw, pulsing lifeblood surging through the veins of every cutting-edge military machine on the planet, from stealth fighters screaming across the sky to armored divisions thundering over deserts and urban battlegrounds. The nation, the alliance, or the empire that clamps an iron fist around the world's oil pipelines and spigots doesn't just dictate energy flows, they seize the godlike master switch of modern civilization, flipping it on or off to decide which economies roar ahead and which ones sputter into darkness. Welcome to the Christ Life Pill, your unfiltered portal into the raw, unvarnished truths that the elite gatekeepers of society fight tooth and nail to bury 6 feet under. Envision the global energy arena as a thunderous chessboard shrouded in gathering storm clouds, where every square pulses with trillion-dollar stakes and world-altering gambits. 2 titanic superpowers are maneuvering their pieces with the cold precision of assassins in the night. Over here on the red, white, and blue flank, the United States of America, helming under the unyielding, no-holds-barred command of President Donald Trump, is unleashing a full-throttle blitzkrieg to plunder and lock down the juiciest, most gargantuan oil fields ripped straight from the Earth's core. These aren't scattershot raids. They're surgically targeted strikes on sovereign nations, perched atop the planet's fattest proven reserves, irresistible crown jewels that Washington brands as absolute must-seize assets in their relentless crusade for unchallenged supremacy. Swing your gaze to the opposite flank, and there's China, America's razor-sharp strategic arch-nemesis, executing a polar opposite masterpiece of patience and cunning. No thunderous tank columns storming borders, no bombastic declarations of conquest, just Beijing operating like a ghost in the machine, methodically inhaling colossal mountains of unrefined crude, surfing every savage market dip like a Wall Street shark to erect an impregnable strategic fortress. They're forging nothing less than a monumental oil dam, a vast underground bunker network designed to render them bulletproof against any Western ambush, embargo, or price tsunami. This epic clash has long outgrown petty resource scrambles. It's morphed into a savage showdown of visionary foresight, ironclad strategic nerve, and the raw right to etch the blueprint of tomorrow's world order into stone. The million-dollar question, crackling like lightning: can America's bulldozer-style grab, hold, and dominate offensive sustain the stars and stripes thrown at the top of the heap? Or will China's ice-veined, fortress-forging defensive masterstroke unleash a seismic reversal that shatters the board entirely? This isn't merely a game over oil. It's the blood-soaked decider of who wears the crown in the 21st century's relentless arena. To crack open the guts of Trump's audacious opening salvo, we drill down into Venezuela, that explosive South American colossus, simultaneously heaven-blessed and hell-cursed with oil wealth that could drown entire continents. This powerhouse isn't playing small ball. It squats on the globe's single largest proven reserves. And here's the gut punch stat. They yank a barrel from the ground for a laughable $20, while Uncle Sam's own shale plays bleed out $50 a barrel just to see daylight. That obscene cost edge catapults Venezuela into the league of untouchable rivals, a beast that shrugs off worldwide price plunges and keeps printing cash when rivals are begging for mercy. But zoom into Washington's paranoid worldview, and Venezuela's squatting smack in their cherished backyard, Latin America, the U.S. Sacrosanct turf since the Monroe Doctrine days, and an oil-saturated independent powerhouse like this? That's not just a rival, it's a ticking time bomb strapped to American hegemony's chest. Rewind the tape decades. Corporate oil behemoths like ExxonMobil and Chevron turned Venezuela into their private ATM, vacuuming up billions in gushing profits, shipped straight back to Houston boardrooms, while everyday Venezuelans got tossed table scraps in the form of measly taxes and empty infrastructure promises. Then, boom, 1999 arrives, and Hugo Chavez explodes onto the presidential stage like a revolutionary wildfire, unleashing the ultimate taboo in D.C. Zai's full nationalization of the oil sector, ripping the keys from foreign claws with one defiant swipe. Channeling those black gold billions, Chavez didn't hoard for elites. He funneled it into a tidal wave of tangible uplift for the masses. Sprawling public housing towers rising from slums, state-of-the-art healthcare clinics dotting barrios, world-class public schools arming kids for the future, and gasoline so dirt cheap at pumps it was practically free. Overnight, he forged an unbreakable base of die-hard loyalty, transforming Venezuela into a social welfare powerhouse. Yet that triumph came laced with poison. Over 80% of the national budget dangled from oil's volatile strings, turning the nation into a hostage to every OPEC hiccup or global demand wobble. Catapult forward to 2020. Crude prices crater into oblivion like a meteor strike. The COVID pandemic slams global brakes with lockdowns everywhere, and Venezuela's house of cards folds spectacularly into hyperinflationary rubble. That's the precise moment Uncle Sam caught the scent of vulnerability and pounced like a grizzly on fresh kill. Washington didn't pussyfoot with half measures. They hammered down a merciless cascade of sanctions that transcended regime change gamesmanship, strangling the entire economy in a chokehold from hell. Fresh drilling rigs? Blocked. Pipeline upgrades and refinery overhauls? Dead in the water. Even basic pump maintenance gear? Frozen solid. Venezuela's sole economic artery, its oil lifeline, clotted shut overnight. This import-dependent giant, sucking in 90% of its rice, beans, medicine, and toilet paper from abroad, watched cash evaporate into thin air. Supermarket shelves morphed into ghost towns, black market hustlers jacked prices to the moon, and pent-up fury detonated into nationwide riots, looting sprees, and teetering anarchy. Textbook perfect, the exact chaos cocktail America scripted to perfection. A Venezuela spiraling into the abyss became Washington's piñata, stuffed with opportunity. They baited the hook with humanitarian corridors laced with strings, cornering Maduro's crew into a devil's bargain. Surrender sovereignty to globe-trotting overseers, or bleed out solo in a deathmatch. Trump cranked the dial past economics into psyops overdrive and gunboat diplomacy. The U.S. microphone blasted Maduro as a fraudulent usurper, branded him a narco-terrorist kingpin, and slapped a jaw-dropping $50 million bounty on his head for any bounty hunter bold enough to cuff him alive. Meanwhile, U.S. Navy carrier strike groups ghosted the Caribbean horizons, their decks bristling with F-35 seconds, a screaming billboard. One wrong move, and we own the beachhead. Lip service to democracy, total smokescreen. The glittering endgame was always those subterranean trillions in the world's biggest oil hoard. By masterfully muddying the waters into managed mayhem, America teed itself up as the knight in shining armor stabilizer, primed to plant the flag and pump the prize. Trump's conquest blueprint didn't clock out after one hit. It reloaded for Nigeria, Africa's undisputed oil juggernaut, churning out that elite light sweet Bonnie crude, the refinery darling that processes dirt cheap into boatloads of gasoline, diesel, and jet juice for profit-hungry U.S. Gulf Coast plants. Nigeria's no lightweight. It's a geopolitical linchpin pulsing with strategic juice. But when Lagos locked arms with Beijing for a blockbuster $20 billion infusion across energy megaprojects, high-tech farms, and deep-shaft mining ventures, D.C.'s radar lit up like a Christmas tree. Nigeria morphing into Africa's crown jewel in China's Belt and Road master plan. For Trump, an oil colossus waltzing into the dragon's den crossed every red line imaginable. Enter the rerun script. Overnight, U.S. airwaves blared Nigeria's genocide-level human rights apocalypse, zeroing in on extremist kidnappings and massacres, targeting Christian communities as a clarion call for Stars and Stripes salvation. Deja vu much? Straight out of the 2003 Iraq WMD playbook, earth-shattering accusations hurled sans a shred of verifiable intel. Faith-based outrage wasn't ground zero. It was the velvet glove over an iron fist. The flawless pretext to flood Nigeria with advisors, ramp up intel ops, and bulldoze those bonny spouts into the U.S. sphere before Beijing bolted the door. The hit parade rolls on relentlessly. Iran, global number 4 with a staggering 157 billion barrels, perpetually under sanction crosshairs amid endless Middle East powder keg posturing. Iraq, 5th ranked and still crawling with US trainers since the 2003 shock and awe fiesta, enforcing de facto puppetry without the paperwork. Hell, even steadfast partner Canada, 3rd worldwide, with over 170 billion barrels locked in Alberta's endless oil sands, tar pits, whispers of outright annexation or total oversight bubble up as the worldwide energy cage match turns. Feral. Trump's gospel boils down to scorched earth simplicity. Deploy politics like scalpels, sanctions like sledgehammers, engineered insurgencies like wildfires. Whatever dirty trick secures global oil spigots under the American jackboot, no mercy shown. Meanwhile, across the vast Pacific expanse, as Trump's scorched earth roadshow torches the map, China unfurls its riposte like a 4D chess virtuoso scripting checkmate from the shadows. Enter 2025. China's homegrown fuel thirst plateaus flat as a board, yet Beijing detonates a market bombshell by devouring north of 1 million barrels daily. That's 135,000 tons of liquid firepower per day. Times, not times earmarked for tailpipes or factories, but entombed in doomsday vaults for the long haul. Government stockpiles bulge at the seams. Scrappy private wildcatters in Shandong province ignite buying frenzies, turbo-boosted by a bombshell January energy statute that doesn't just permit it, Times commands Times civilians to bunker crude for the motherland's fortress mentality. This is mere foreplay. They're greenlighting 11 colossal storage colossi, hungering for a reality-bending 2 billion barrels total, the equivalent of 270 million metric tons, a war chest sufficient to idle China's industrial behemoth through half a year of total import blackout, no matter the apocalypse. As Earth's unrivaled oil vacuum sucking in more black gold than anyone, China's fortunes teeter on energy bazaar roulette, Persian Gulf tinderboxes, or snap U.S. naval interdictions could strangle them cold turkey tomorrow. Genius incarnate. They pounce on fire sale, $60, 70 per barrel troughs, hammering out an unbreachable energy bulwark at penny pincher premiums. Yet that vault harbors fangs. 2 billion barrels catapults Beijing into market overlord status, dictating times when times to flood or starve demand, eviscerating America's iron grip on dollar-denominated pricing hegemony. Their killer app? Gobbling fire sale crude from America's pariah list Iran and Russia at slash prices, a thunderclap defiance that drowns China in bargain basement barrels, forges ironclad bonds across the Levant and Slavic heartlands, and torches U.S. embargo efficacy to ash. Strip away the fog, and this black gold Armageddon transcends mere barrel counts. It's an existential cage fight for the Petrodollar Colossus, the arcane financial sorcery buttressing U.S. overlordship since Nixon's 1972 desert pact with the Saudis. Every glob of petroleum gets auctioned and squared in greenbacks exclusively, compelling friend and foe nations to hoard trillions in USD war chests just to flip the light switch or fire up the factory floor. That's the Excalibur hack. Washington floodgates fiat dollars endlessly to grease perpetual wars, elephantine defense budgets, and gluttonous import binges exchanging printer ink for the planet's tangible bounty. Trump's Venezuela-Nigeria body slams? Rearguard desperation pure and raw, pulverizing any black gold baron sniffing multi-currency heresy, echoing Chavez's outlawed rainbow currency sales pitches, or Nigeria's D-dollar flirtations with BRICS bravado. Deviate from the petrodollar plantation, obliteration awaits. China? They're the apocalypse hacker, drop-kicking the nucleus. Yuan-ruble barters with Moscow and Tehran spawn rogue trade superhighways, bolt holes from USD shackles. Behold Shanghai's Aini Energy Coliseum, crude auctioned in yuan scrip, where exporters cash in for made-in-China bounty or melt it down for Shanghai gold bullion, a hermetic. Sanction-slaying money go round that ghosts the dollar altogether. BRICS battalion, Putin's Russia, Ayatollah Iran, Maduro's Venezuela, Nigeria lurking snaps up these lifelines, jettisoning weaponizable USD stockpiles for ironclad alternatives. A half-century empire gasps its death rattle. America's brute force monopoly clings via carrier fleets and coup cassettes, birthing global venom. China's commerce alchemy erects phantom networks via hoardies and handshakes, neutering U.S. armadas in trade lanes beyond cannon range. Each embargo, rocket fuel herding producers into yuan utopia. Beijing clutches Olympian clout, ghost high-price auctions, hand-picked tanker origins, decree tender. Their oil broadsword doesn't pistol whip America's skull. It's the mythic skeleton key springing a post-petrodollar genesis. Amid energy's terminal throes, Locksmiths eclipse trigger pullers, recarving power's map for eons. Lock in with the Christ life, pill the revelation trains just revving engines.